Great. In this episode, what we're going to do is look at how we can make this game work well with mobile devices. So, with your iPhone or any other multi-touch device. And let's go through and first start to create the buttons. So, I want some mobile buttons. So I'm going to go here and add a new object and a sprite. And I'm going to call this the left button. And let's see what there is for graphics on the online version here. And I think the buttons to use are these shaded dark. This looks sort of like um, a button that I think I would want if I'm moving left. I think that's about the best I can do. Okay, so I've got a left button. I'm going to add a new object for a right button, and if I look here in the animation for the right button, there was one right underneath the left that looked called Shaded Dark 5. So I think that looks pretty good as well. So I'll apply that one. I want one for up and down, and I don't believe there is one. So let's take a look first. Let me just, before I rename it, and on the online version, again, we're kind of limited. But there is the jump button. So I'm happy with that. So I can call this jump button. And what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to duplicate the left button and I'm just going to rotate it or the right button. Doesn't matter which. Okay, so I'll just duplicate it. So I'm going to duplicate and I'm going to call this not right button 2, but I'm going to call this one up. And you might be thinking, that is pointing right, not up. Not to worry, we'll fix that coming up. And then I'll duplicate again, and I'll make this one the down button. Okay, so let's add our buttons to our game. So you'll see we've got 4 new objects here. And we need to add these to our game. So I'm just going to drag them on the screen and let's put them just right here. The up button, what I need to do is if I click on it, I can rotate it 270. Where does that put us? That sort of puts us pointing up. So I'll say 270. The down button, maybe I'll click on here and I'll rotate the, on the down button, I'll rotate it an angle of 90 degrees. So it's pointing down. And then I'm going to the right button. And then finally, I'll put a jump over here on the right-hand side of the screen. So play around with where these things are located and how you think they're going to go. So what I did is I sort of cheated here. The right and left buttons I had, but the up I just duplicated it, and then you'll see in the properties I could modify the angle. And so that's what I did there. Now I'm going to hit play here, and you're going to see there's going to be one problem. We haven't coded it, so if I hit the left button, nothing's going to happen. We haven't put any codes. But I want to show you the problem and a mistake a lot of people are going to do. Okay, so I should, number one, I think put this up a little bit higher. It's pretty close to the bottom of the screen, and I might even move it a little bit more to the left. But one of the problems is, watch what happens. As I start moving, the buttons would go away. And so that would be a problem. So remember how we did with the text, we had to put it in the heads up display. And so we're going to do the same thing, with the buttons. So as I said, I want to move them all over just a little bit more here. So actually, and up, I think it was too. So let's put them here. But the problem, I want to put them in the heads up display. So to do that, I'm going to click this and so this is the right button, and I'm going to say it needs to be in the display layer. And so that's just like the text. It's going to move just like the text move. So it's going to stay stationary on the screen. The person and the enemies and the coins are going to move, but the buttons I want to stay on the display layer, so they're not going to move at all. They're going to be sort of fixed to this layer, and so the up button is on layer display, the left button layer display, the down button layer display, and when I click on the right button and it's selected, you can tell by the handles, it's on layer display. And then of course the jump button, and I'm going to do the same with the jump button. I'm going to also need to put it on the display layer. Great. So how do I get these to actually react? And so let's go to the coding now and start doing some coding. So I'm going to add a new group here. So I'm going to click on a new group, and I'm going to call this group buttons. And what I'm going to do is let's add a condition here for the buttons. And what I want to do is I want to do when the cursor touch is on an object, and when it's on the let's do the left button. So when the cursor touch is on object left button, so that means that I'm touching the left button. What I'm going to do is the action is going to be the, I want to simulate, let's see if I can search for it. Simulate a left key press. And it's going to be on the player. Okay, so it's like I'm pressing the left key on the player. Okay, if you missed that, I'll do it again. So again, let's add a new event. And what I want to do is I want to cursor touch is on an object, and I want to touch now the right button. And I'm going to say simulate an action, and the action I want to simulate is the right key press on the player. Okay, a couple more to do. Let's see if I can duplicate. Can I copy and paste? I never, I don't know if that's any faster. Touch is on the up. Yeah, it's probably just as quick for me. I'm still learning the interface. So cursor's on the up button, and I want to simulate the up key press on the player. And then I'm going to do a down button. So condition is cursor touch is on the down button. And I'm going to simulate a down key press on the player. And then finally, there's one more button, which is our jump button. So cursor touch is on the jump button. And we're going to simulate a jump. Excuse me. Where is jump? There's jump on the player. Oh, shoot. Player. Great. So now I've got all my button controls. I also, there's one other issue, and that is if I'm playing, and it's hard for me to play on the computer screen, I can try, but if I'm playing my game, what's going to happen is when I go to play, I guess I can hit play here. What's going to be a challenge is to do two keys at once. I can't do it on my computer because you can see I can do jump is jumping, but I can't quite move the mouse fast enough to move and jump at the same time. It's pretty darn hard for me to do that. The buttons are all working. It's not that. Um, and I would have to test this on a mobile device to really see how if these are going all right. But what I need to do is I need multi-touch. So let's go to multi-touch. So I'm going to close what I need to do, and I'll add that to the buttons here. So let's add a new one. And because this is kind of the first condition, I'm going to drag this to the very top here. And what I want to do is at the beginning of the scene, oops, no, I don't want to do that. Delete that. At the beginning of the scene, what I want to do is I want to turn multi-touch. So when the scene begins, I want to deactivate a behavior, which is deactivate moving the mouse with touches. And so if you read it here, it says, when activated, any touch made on touchscreen will also move a cursor. When deactivated, mouse and so I want to deactivate it because if I touch, I don't want to put the cursor there because sometimes I can do multi-touch. And so by default, it's yes. So we have to put no here. And so we're going to deactivate mouse cursor with touches. And so I press OK. Super. One last thing I'm going to do also at the beginning of the scene, and I won't be able to show this well, is, and so now this will work well with multi-touch, is I want to also hide the all the buttons. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, yeah, move mouse cursor, but I also want to hide hide, and I want to hide all these buttons. Oh, well, that's going to take a bit of work to hide all the buttons. So I'm going to leave it at hide, or let's cancel this for now. I'm going to show you something else that I haven't done yet in this game, is if I go here to my objects and I go to the groups editor. Sorry, the second button here. So if I go to the second one, it's open the objects groups editor. And we haven't really done these. This is the first instance that actually works well with having a set of groups. And so my groups are the, if I'm using a mobile device, I want mobile buttons. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a group, and let's call this, let's rename this and call it mobile buttons. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and choose what do I want to add to the group. And so here's all my objects. So I want the left button to be one of those. I also need to add the right button. So I'm going to click a right button. Great. And we're going to apply that. And I also want in my mobile buttons the up button. Great. I also want in that group the down button and also the jump button. So all those buttons, left, right, up, down, and jump, are all going to be part of that group. So here's why it's really good. I can go back to the events, and at the beginning of the scene, what I can do here is I can test I can hide the at the beginning of the scene. What I can do is I can test for a mobile. I can test to see if this is a mobile device. And let's just go through here. So I'm going to turn on multi-touch, and I also want to hide the common groups of the mobile buttons, but I want to do this only. Sorry, I need an event. Let's delete that. So let's add another one here. Oops. Where are we at? Here we are. Let's bring this up to the top. And I want to know if it is a mobile. So if it is a mobile device, so we're going to check to see if the game's running on a mobile device. So at the beginning of the scene, we're going to turn multi-touch on. And if the device is a mobile device, what we're going to do is we're going to hide. And instead of hiding each of the objects one at a time, so instead of hiding the left button, the up button, the down button, the right button, the jump button, I can select a group called the mobile buttons. And so that group that I made just a minute or so ago will be hidden. So now you're going to see that multi-touch is on, but because this is not a mobile device, you're going to see those buttons are not going to appear. And so it'll only appear when this runs on a mobile device. So this is kind of sort of an interesting point, because we're only going to see it if this is a mobile device. Oh, couldn't launch preview. Okay. My internet's not working quite right. So I'm going to stop it right there. And I know it's quite a bit, but what we've done is we have done a lot. We've added buttons for mobile device. We've done multi-touch buttons, and we've simulated the buttons to work as a key press.